Empty the chamber on them. And how do you do that? First 6 seconds, point 8 to 20 feet, everything you got. Everything you got. Turn that shit up. Let's go.
Welcome to the Scoop World Order. It is the Arkansas State wrap-up edition. We just watched Ohio State win a somewhat sloppy affair, 45-12. I have Nevadabuck with me on the line. We're going to be talking about who are our MVPs, what we saw out there. We kind of got exactly what we expected, kind of a sloppy affair, noon game after a big night game against Notre Dame. Whatever. I mean, just survive and hope that my call is completely healthy. So as always, we are thankful for you guys. Subscribe to the channel. We're growing like crazy. All thanks to you guys. New records and YouTube members today. So click that subscribe button. Like, I want to know who's your MVP today. Is it Marvin Harrison Jr.? Is it somebody other than Marvin Harrison Jr.? If you want to get creative and say, well, I know everyone's going to say Marvin Harrison Jr., you know, CJ Stroud. Is it Caden Curry who flashed at the end of the game? You know, who did you like that you saw out there on the field today? Who needs to step it up? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, we appreciate you guys. We're bringing my good friend Nevada. Nevada, how are you?
I'm doing great. The games, like you said, survive that game, move on, and learn from it. But the game did pretty much go the way that I expected. I had 49-21 as my projected score pregame, and I think it pretty much followed the script that I thought it would, and we got out of it without any major injuries. So that's a good deal. On to week 3.
Yeah, it was about what you expected. Noon game, probably 65,000 people in the stadium that holds 105,000. Just, you know, not a lot there, not a lot of atmosphere. You know, a game that these players aren't excited to play in. They're excited to get through it and get on to Wisconsin, either the circuit at Toledo again next week. But, you know, these games, they're kind of a necessary evil. I can't wait for them to go away once expansion happens and we get a few more teams in the Big Ten. Hopefully we won't ever play the Arkansas States of the world again. But what were your initial thoughts? I'm going to just crank a little bit of film right here. What were your initial thoughts watching this live when you saw just, you know, Marvin Harrison Jr. obviously went crazy. He was my pick for MVP last week. I missed it by a week. What do you think of the performance today, particularly in the throwing game?
Well, I thought the Ohio State offense really, came back today with a vengeance and really kind of exerted their will, did pretty much anything they wanted to against the Arkansas State defense. But I got to tell you, I kind of gone up to the line saying before the game that I thought that the Arkansas offense was going to present some unique challenges and maybe even be as good a challenge as Notre Dame's offense was. And, as we're sitting right now, I think that's semi-prophetic because I don't think Notre Dame's very good. I've got them at 4 losses this year. Maybe they'll have 5. I mean, they're not a very good team. And Arkansas State presented some unique challenges. If they'd had Brian Snead out there too, they'd have had just that one more weapon. I give them a lot of credit for their game plan. They were undermanned, but they moved the ball. They made some plays. They got some good players out there in the field, and I thought that was a nice challenge for our defense. And I thought our defense stepped up and responded. And I think our defense took another step this week, and that's important to answer that question. Is our defense really, really back? Is it really better, or was it just fool's gold against Notre Dame? Well, I think we took another step, and I think we proved a little bit more about the defense again this week.
Yeah, and this is an interesting look here. This is with this motion. This is the second play of the game. Steele's phenomenal, but here you really get a good look at the 3 safety look that is Jim Knowles' signature, basically. And it's real interesting here because Tanner McAllister is the guy who knows the defense better than anybody outside of Jim Knowles and the graduate assistants and quality control guys he brought from Oklahoma State. And he's adjusting here, and it seems like he's trying to get Josh Proctor to run with this, and he doesn't. And then he ends up adjusting last minute and running with it. So, again, this is, it's a new defense for everybody, but you really liked what you saw out of Josh today. Talk a little bit about what you saw out of Josh Proctor today.
Well, I mean, Josh was in the right spot at the right time. When he hits guys, they go down. He was very responsible in his defensive coverages. I mean, I just thought he played an outstanding game. Made very, very few mistakes, and this was after being kind of unceremoniously pulled out of the last game. And the staff has kind of gone out of their way this week to really talk him up, try to keep his head in the game, try to keep him checked in to the defense. And because some guys, you get pulled like that, and they're like, screw this, I'm not going to do this anymore. And they drop their shoulders, they drop their head, they stop playing well. Josh didn't do any of that. I thought the staff did a great job of bringing him back, and they threw him out there today, and I think he responded. Defensively, he was as good as anybody on the defense today, and that's really a tribute to Jim Knowles and how good of a job this defensive staff did with him.
Yeah, I agree. And here you see just kind of the cluster that Jim Knowles creates. The safeties are both up in this. You're just the swarm, the gang tackling that I was very critical of the effort last year. I am not critical of the effort this year. These guys are running to the ball, they're getting to the ball. And, Jim Knowles, as Denzel Burke found out, if you guys aren't ready to go, he will pull you. And he will put in JK today at corner for Denzel for a few drives until the second half started. He is not scared to put in the next guy to get you motivated, because some of these guys, they need motivated. Here, again, they're just fooling around, showing a bunch of different looks, trying to figure out where guys are coming from. Again, this is a great play by Steele. Steele was really honest. He was on point today, man. So Steele diagnoses that this is a screen. He's got him in man coverage, runs with him, ties him up. And, my guy, he was, I picked JT to be my MVP last week. Gets a great jump, gets to the throw lane, disrupts the throw. He's got to dust it and, punt. JT really is playing well. I mean, it's weird. Him and Jack have almost no stats, maybe some tackles, no sacks yet. And they are really affecting the quarterback, though. So, and here, even Zach Harrison, who we're as critical of as anybody, he does a nice job lifting this guy off his feet here, this little single arm. And again, it's a start. It's weird. Our ends they're being disruptive, but they're not really getting the sacks that you would like. So here these guys are punting. So I'm gonna rewind or fast forward through this. But Nevada, who stood out to you on offense today? I mean, Trey Henderson had another 8-yard per carry day, 2 touchdowns. What did you think of the offensive performance? What did you think of what we were able to get done coming off the Notre Dame win last week?
Well, I mean, clearly, like you said, you can talk about Trey and his 8.7. You can talk about Marvin Harrison or Mecca both going over 100. Marvin getting his 3 touchdowns. C.J. Stroud just having a monster day. But to me, it was about the offensive line. I thought the offensive line just controlled the game from the very beginning, made very, very few mistakes. Really kind of exerted their will. You just really got the impression that Ohio State could score at any point in the field in any way, and so it was just a question of what they wanted to show. But I thought the offensive line was terrific. The first time we got the ball, I think we're down like on the 3 or 4 yard line. You drove it length of the field and made it look easy.
Yeah, this is a play, and Mitch Rossi gets to start today with K. They're in the 21 to 2 tight end look. 2 tight ends, one running back here. Mitch Rossi does a great job of caving this guy in. These guys are doubling up. They seal this. Trey probably would want this one back. Obviously, they get him wheeled all the way to the forced safety here, and Trey has to do the best he can to try to beat that guy. Bowls him over, but if he sticks his foot in the ground and bursts outside, he might have a shot. But again, that's the guy that you got to beat. Everybody else is clean on that. Yeah, I thought Trey ran well. Again, 8 yards to carry again. He really can't get enough touches at this point for me. He's just 20 carries I'd give him, but I know that'll probably never happen in Ryan Day's offense with Mayan there too. But what did you think of Mayan's effort? I thought Mayan ran hard again. Really, it's a really dynamic 1-2 punch. Probably the best since maybe Pitt and Beanie. But what did you think of Mayan's effort today?
I mean, Mayan always gives it to you, and it's like I said, statistically, Trey dominated the stats today, but Mayan was equally effective. They're just they're doing this running back rotation thing where they're giving it back one series and the next back comes in for the next series, and it's just impossible for either one of them to kind of get that great rhythm going on. And I said this on the board, but I'm like, this isn't a Trey Sermon, Master Teague thing where you're like, hey, you got to give Trey the touches because Master's just not up to that same quality. These guys are both terrific backs, and anything that I say is not an indictment of one back or the other or whatever, but they just got to find a way to get these guys the ball more, because when I look back on these games and I see Trey Henderson, again, 10 carries, I don't think he had a reception. 10 touches is just not enough. And I know it's Arkansas State. I know, but it's the second week in a row, and it's become kind of an epidemic where they just underutilize this guy. And I just like to see. I'd like to see him get the ball more. I wouldn't mind seeing them, stick with a hot hand if somebody's rolling and give him more touches, or keep him in for consecutive series. Because I just think for running backs that are rhythm running backs like anybody else. I mean, you go back and watch those games like an O.J. Simpson or something like that, and he'd get stopped and stopped and stopped and stopped, and then he'd break a 70-yard touchdown. And that's the kind of back that Trey Henderson absolutely is. I mean, he is a, break it from anywhere on the field kind of guy. But you just got to keep giving him chances. And I don't think 10 touches in a game is near enough. I understand it was kind of the circumstances of the game, but I just think he's super dynamic, and I'd love to see him get the ball more.
Yeah, I love this play design by Kevin Wilson, Justin Fry. This is just a simple zone play. Cade Stover is just kind of checking this end, working to the safety. These are really easy double team blocks, which is why I really like it, because it'd be one thing if, say, these two had to work here and you got this motion and this guy's running right away, but you're able to push this all the way back where, you got Matt and DeJuan working back to him, which is a really easy combo. You can really get a nice firm double team here. And you have Donnie and Luke Whippler working back to him. So you can hang on this for a hot minute. PJ's got the man block. And I kind of like this. This is kind of like an I formation type deal where you have the fullback, kind of like an old school, funky looking I formation where, you got Mitch Rossi back here, and he's basically going to wrap for him. He's going to either insert here or he's going to go opposite of PJ, wherever PJ goes. And then you just have Trey doing a little wind back here. We get a little lucky here because Mitch's block ends up taking two. Actually, we get really lucky here because this is, on the play, it's a blitz. So, they're literally stunning in here, and he's coming here, which makes it literally the perfect play call because, PJ's going to reach this guy, and you're thinking that Mitch is going to insert here, and instead this guy comes in here, and he goes here, and then the safety gets up in the mess. So Mitch, gets enough force on this guy where he basically takes two. He takes, this guy should be making the play, but he gets caught up with Mitch Rossi's block. And, when you do that with Trey, Trey's, got a lot of green grass or green field turf in front of him. And the thing I love about Trey is at the end of this run, he's trying to throw this guy by. He's trying to stiff arm, and he's trying to throw him by, and he doesn't get a hold of him. The guy gets him down. But, it's nice when you have a guy like mine that can come in the next play after Trey's got a nice explosive run, get a shot at Gatorade, get back on the field. So mine comes in. We're doing our pistol stuff. We did this a lot last week. This 3x1, and I love anytime we can pull DeJuan. It's always amazing because it's like watching Godzilla or King Kong run out on the. This is what they call. This is a truck play. They call it the old truck play. So you pin here. Looks like a big convoy there, and then the backside is kind of zoning. But yeah, if you're a secondary guy and you got DeJuan coming at you, there's nothing worse in life, I don't think. Luke could be a little bit better here. Juan takes one. The guy that can be better is Emeka. Emeka kind of gets bounced around like a pinball there. And if Emeka could just sustain one of these, and DeJuan takes the other one, this is probably a touchdown. But Emeka just kind of gets mixed up and doesn't really get his blocks. So I'm sure he'll get graded down by Brian Hartline on that. But still, it's a 7-yard run. You're not going to be upset about that. Anytime you can do that, that's a great play. But it's this close to being just an outstanding play. Here's little statistics. Again, more carries, please. More carries, please. Here, hurry up, go to the line, which I love. One of the things that we noticed last year in Nevada is when they were in the pistol, it was 100% run, which was insane. So they've run more boots in the last 2 weeks than they did all of last year through 2 weeks. So that's good. At least somebody caught that. And this is just a real easy play for the offensive line. They call this a naked bootleg. Literally, the offensive line's whole responsibility is just to turn and run this way. You don't even have to block anybody, but it's all about getting the play action, so to speak. This is tight end, so he'll probably come here and release into the flat. And just sell the stretch play that we love to run. So you see the guys that's all kind of turn and run, take the D lineman with them, you know, do the best they can, and then you usually get a nice easy throw somewhere around here. Not this time though. He probably had this guy here, but yeah. Nevada, who else was impressive to you today? D lineman, I know Mike Hall got dinged up. I thought Jack flashed a little bit. Got close to getting his first sack. Caden Curry had it, and I said, what'd you think of Caden?
I know Caden did some nice stuff in limited time, but I want to go back to that play that you were just running. You were showing there on that kind of that naked bootleg action right there.
Yep.
And again, it just brings home to me that if Stroud just keeps the ball just a handful of times, like on that play right there, you look at how much space he had to go out there, make a play. He goes out there, they fake the butt, rolls out. Now look how much space he's got right now.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's occupied. This guy's kind of working towards the drag.
He's got the one guy on the inside.
As soon as he tucks it and starts running, I mean, if this guy can sustain for a second, he can slide and get the first and move the chains, And,
exactly.
Yeah, and again, that's not hard. I mean, he's got an angle on this guy. If he just keeps running this way, and this guy's occupied, this guy's hips are turned that way. He's not a machine. He's not gonna put his hips and go that way that quick. So, but yeah, you see all this open space, and I mean, this guy. I mean, CJ's a good athlete. His freshman year, he had that long touchdown run up at Michigan State, and it's like, I wish that he would just go take that free money because it's literally free money, and just slide. I'm not saying drop the shoulder, but just slide.
Well, you saw the Texas-Alabama game today. The Texas-Alabama game was pretty much decided, other than a few bad calls on one, Ryan Watts blitz that Bryce Young was able to shake off and run down the sideline for 30 yards in the waning seconds to do the end. It's like the quarterback run, just the threat of the quarterback run, more quarterback, these constraint plays. I really think it's the only thing that's holding the Ohio State offense back from being just an absolute juggernaut. I mean, the Ohio State offense right now can pretty much do what they want, and they can do it. They've got a great passing game. They've got a great running game. They've got capable tight ends. They've got a Heisman quarterback. They've got 2 NFL running backs. I really believe the only thing that's missing is that just the hint of some constraint from the quarterback run. And I know that CJ's physically able to do it. I just don't know when they're going to start doing it, or if they're going to start doing it, because I just think it would change everything for the Ohio State offense.
Well, I mean, even here, this is 3rd and 4, and Xavier has to make a really tough catch. I mean, this is right off the ground, and we're lucky he makes the catch. But I mean, there's no reason he can't just run here and just ensure that we get the first down. And again, I know that it's Arkansas State, and I know that we still got the first down. So it's not even overly critical, but like this play happens because he makes a really good catch, like scooping the ball off the ground, basically. So, again, I just think that it's, the 2, most valuable people in college football and the NFL are Josh Allen and Bryce Young. And what do they both do well? They take advantage of their situations. Like this is a really good catch. I mean, this is like right off his knees basically, and he's able to stay in bounds. But again, is it that hard of a catch? Not really. But like you could just run and get that free first down. But yeah, it's interesting. Mine's still in. Trey hasn't been in since that long run. So I think sometimes they just like to let him get a little bit of a rhythm, even though he hasn't got a touch yet. They split him out wide. Pass pro is pretty much good all day. And again, X is having a nice little season, man. I mean, for a guy that most people hadn't heard of before the Notre Dame game, he's really been productive. And, we're thin at receiver. I mean, people, we laud how deep we are, but, you take away Marvin, or if Marvin or Emeka goes down and Jackson's down, I mean, you're up against it. You're going to be starting to roll some freshmen out there and Jaden Ballard. And, like, I don't know how much they trust some of these younger guys, but here Jaden's in the game. This is a blow by somebody here. Yeah, this is a read where, this guy just doesn't respect the read. This is a read option where, in theory, this is a read. Now, this is probably just a straight give because it's CJ. And it might be an RPO with a look right here because, I think CJ could pull this and throw this to Jaden Ballard. But, the way this guy is pinching down off the edge here, I mean, you have to pull this. I mean, the play has literally no chance, like this double counter play, because the front of it is great, but it's just, when you don't do anything against this backside end, like when you don't have a blocker coming back for him and you're reading him, and all of a sudden they stop respecting the read because we never pull the ball, then he's going to come out, he's going to come like a werewolf down here and get a big play like this, and here they're bringing the corner too. I mean, this is, again, I don't know if this is a read or not, but if this is a read, I mean, if CJ pulls this, they're bringing the corner too. They're bringing two guys. So, they're calling this as if, they think there's a chance that CJ actually might pull it, even though he never does. But if this is a true RPO, which it looks like it is with what Jaden's doing, you throw this out here and he's blitzing. And again, it's easy when I'm sitting in my office, with a telestrator to do this, but it's like, this is another touchdown because, like, who's left? The safety's over here on almost the middle of the field. If you throw this out to Jaden, man, this thing's gone. So, but yeah, it's, again, these are the things that, when we never pull the ball, because the rest of the play is blocked up really nicely. Like, I mean, if this, if you take him out of it, like if we did something that would actually hold him, like actually pull the ball or just do something or carry out a fake, I mean, CJ does, but it's already too late just because, again, this guy doesn't respect the pull at all. And plus they're bringing this corner here. So it's, you either got to get out of the play or you got to, you got to, I mean, really, like I said, the RPO is perfect here. Because if CJ just keeps it and throws it to him, it's, I don't know. But yeah, that's the thing, man. Like, tackle for losses against good teams are going to hurt us because you get off schedule, not ideal. So yeah, it's going to be again, is it nitpicky? Maybe, but I'm sure that the coaches are going to be saying the same thing in film tomorrow, so I don't really care. What else, Nevada? It's a long game. I mean,
I wanted to talk about the linebackers. It's funny because, over the past few years, it's been a huge topic of conversation on every Ohio State message board across the internet about how Ohio State has not recruited well with linebackers and what happened to our recruiting with linebackers and where did our linebackers go and why don't we have better linebackers? And now all of a sudden we have a bunch of great linebackers. It's like magic. It's like Jim Knowles came with like a magic hat and like hit these guys with his Knowles dust, and they all became dynamic linebackers. Because I'm telling you, we've got 4 or 5 guys back there that can absolutely play. You talked about Steel Chambers today. Steel Chambers is so good, and Tommy Eichenberg is so good, and Cody Simon today was simply outstanding. I mean, Cody Simon. For those, we were hyping Cody Simon last year. He had some nagging injuries, flash sometimes, but he was kind of a little bit of a forgotten man this year. He was terrific today. He was all over the field. Him and Josh Proctor were my defensive players of the game. And like I said, I can't say enough good things about the job that Knowles has done with the defense in general, but specifically with linebackers. Because, we used to have guys, we'd be out there going, oh, man, nobody can play. What is it? Is it talent? What is it? Well, we know the answer to that. It wasn't talent. It was all coaching.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, it was one of those things where, I think that those kids lacked confidence. I know they had ability, but they'd been beaten down. I don't think they were put in the best situations. I think there was a lot of consternation within the front seven between some of the groups, and I think that showed up on the field. They weren't cohesive. They weren't a full unit on defense. So I think that when you bring in a guy like Jim Knowles who unifies everything, I always love when the linebackers coach is the coordinator, just because the linebackers coach is the guy that really has to know the run game and he has to really know the pass game. It's kind of like the tight ends coach. He has to know both. And I just think that he's just done a magnificent job of instilling confidence in these guys, a magnificent job of just, getting these guys to be excited, to play hard. And again, the biggest thing that I take from it, other than the guys, you don't see these guys lining up in the wrong spots like they did last year. Biggest thing I take out of it is these guys are playing with a lot of effort. These guys are running to the ball, and again, that sounds like such a stupid JV thing to talk about, but they're running to the ball. And there was some times last year where there were guys that were just too cool for school. They didn't want to run to the ball. They didn't want to get their nails dirty. They don't want to play that gritty Ohio State football that we've been known for. And that's part of the reason why we took over versus Michigan is we were the blue collar group and they weren't. They were the wine and cheese crowd, and we were the tough guys, the grinders, and the AJ Hawks of the world, and the Mangolds and the Troy Smiths, like the grinders. We weren't the wine and cheese dudes, and we kind of lost that over the last few years, and we'd gotten soft. And thankfully Ryan made a big adjustment. And Jim Knowles is a hard man. He is a guy that is hard, and he is a guy that is going to hold guys accountable, and he doesn't care about what you did last year or how many stars you were. I mean, he will pull you. If you're not out there producing, you're not giving effort, then you're going to be watching. You'll be standing next to, the guys down on the ground, with LJ and the other coaches that are down there. Yeah, Denzel kind of had a rough one today. He got yanked here. I think after this next series, he had a bad penalty. Jim saw enough. Here, we got the Jack look for the first time all day with Jack Sawyer. He was on the stand-up thing and this odd front, which again I love. Him and Tommy are really tight. They're bringing them both here. Tommy gets great pressure. Again, the offensive line. I don't know if it was the noise or if it was the communication, but this happens with Steel Chambers later. It was like they had never seen an A-gap walk-up before, and they just let him go, which obviously that's the one guy you don't want to let go is the guy who's in the A-gap. But talk a little bit about Tommy. I know you mentioned Steele, but how impressed are you with those two guys through the beginning of the season?
Well, it's amazing because, again, just the contrast. I would just encourage everybody to go back and watch those two play last year and then contrast it to how they're playing this year. And it's night and day. I mean, it's night and day. I mean, Tommy Eichenberg was tough Borland for a good part of last year. And now, I don't think it's a crazy comparison to say he's AJ Hawk-like in terms of his approach to the game and the speed with which he plays and the violence with which he plays. Not saying he's AJ Hawk out there, but Tommy Eichenberg's a really good linebacker. And he's got a knack for blitzing. When he hits guys, he's there. I mean, he's just everything you want in an Ohio State linebacker. And as I said before, we've got a bunch of those guys. And I'm not convinced, too, that you could go down deeper into the depth chart and go to Chip, the transfer from Arizona State, and that he wouldn't come out and ball out as well. I think we've got some great linebackers at Ohio State, and I think we're putting them in a great scheme and putting them, in positions to do terrific things. But we're disguising things. We're running that double A gap stuff, but then we're backing out of it. The offense never has any idea where it's coming from. They just know it's coming, and as an offensive lineman, that makes it really, really hard on an offensive unit when you just don't have any idea where the pressure is going to be coming from. And I contrast that to last year where we were just so basic and so predictable on defense, and very pedestrian offenses would punish us for that. So like I said, I couldn't be more excited about the way the guys are playing, and real happy for the kids that they get a chance to play in a system like this.
Yeah, and I mean they're getting rid of the ball quick here because Jack and JT are both there. I mean, JT's got a great spin move here, an inside spin, really tough to handle. They get the quarterback on the ground, and again, like he didn't get there, got the ball off, but I mean that ball was gone in 2 seconds, literally. Like you count it out, and again, the guys are excited. That was third down. It's the D lineman's favorite down here. You see Jack do a little stutter move on the left. You see JT do this inside spin, where he kind of flashes his left hand like he's going to do a bull rush, then hits the spin real clean, leaves the guy twirling around. And Mike Hall gets the double team here, so he's more stuck at the line of scrimmage. Tehran's just bull rushing like usual. But our two ends, I mean, these are really good moves by these guys. And again, the quarterback gets rid of the ball. He has to throw it short, hope that his guy can make a play, and it's nothing doing. So good stuff from our young ends, our sophomores, real productive. Mike Hall had another sack today. You think Mike Hall ends up making All-American Nevada?
I do, and I really, I had mentioned that, earlier, in the summer, maybe even in the spring, about how good he was and how highly regarded he was, and I actually think I mentioned All-American, and I just didn't expect it to be this year. I thought it might have been next year, but he is awful good. Such a player, such a competitor. Wanted to go back in even after that little tweak today, and they really. I can't say enough good things about him. He's just such a load. you'd made a comparison between him and Aaron Donald, and I think everybody's kind of picked up on that now because I hear a lot of people comparing him to Aaron Donald, but you were the first, and I think it's an apt comparison because he's fluid, he's athletic, he's that defensive end rushing in a defensive tackle's body, and guys like that are just so hard to contain.
Yeah, and here's your boy Emeka getting one called back. Obviously here's a block below the waist. Just a weird play.
No. First of all, the Mitchell thing, that you can't dive over the guys in the front. Like as soon as I saw that, I knew penalty. I knew that.
Yeah.
And people were complaining, "Oh, that's not a good call." It's like, no, you can't do that. You can't jump and land on top of those guys or try to jump over the thing. It's a rule. So like for Mitchell not to know that, it's like, come on, guy. Like I mean, that's like one of the first rules of blocking the game. You can't jump over those guys. So
yeah. I mean, and it's that's the same with the field goals. Like you can't jump over the line anymore. It's a penalty right away. But again, like our linebackers though, you look at Steele here. Is Steele? Is Cody? This might be Cody. Yeah, this is Cody, right? 30.
Yeah, that was Cody. Yeah.
I mean, again, like no hesitation, fills the gap. And I love watching this. These guys are. They're playing hard. He beats the fullback who's trying to insert. This is tough because when you're trying to run the play and you draw it up on the grease board, you're thinking this guy's going to come in the B gap. And then all of a sudden he switches gaps on you at the last second. Him and Tehran switch. So initially when you're doing this, like these are just little nuanced things that make it really hard to block this stuff. He's in the A gap. He's got A gap. He's got B gap. Then right before the snap, here. They shift, and he goes B gap, and he goes A gap. And again, when you're this fullback, I mean, you're like thinking you're going to be going between the tackle and guard, and then all of a sudden they switch, and you got to try and get something on him, and you just whiff. And again, that doesn't seem like a lot, but that's really hard for that tight end to do. I mean, he better be Shannon Sharp or some just outstanding athlete to be able to make up for that. Because Cody can run. Like, think about Cody. He's a 4.5 guy. So you got him and Tommy. They're both 4.5 guys. So, I mean, we got linebackers that can hit, that are smart. They're playing hard. You see Tehran's in there. Mike's getting a little jacked up here. He's probably got to get those hands off. But you see these guys all flying to the ball, all getting in on the play, and like that's something we just didn't have last year. Yeah, they got Zach and JT in this drive. Again, there's just nothing there. These guys, there's Josh Proctor, your guy, closing them down real quick. But again, I love the spirit and I love the effort from the defense. Even if they didn't give up much, but when they did, I mean, they bounced back and they're mentally tough, and it's just it's really fun to watch. So I'm going to wrap this thing. I'm going to finish out this drive in Nevada. But you got any final thoughts on today's effort? We've got the Toledo Rockets, a night game, a MAC night game at the shoe. So what are your thoughts going forward? Where do we need to get better in Nevada?
Well, I just think we just got to develop a little bit more consistency on offense and clean up a little things. But it's hard to find too much default on the offense. I think defensively, they ran some counteraction with some effectiveness. They used kind of our aggressiveness against us. We were kind of creating some natural holes by running up the field, and they kind of run the opposite side. And they had some success with that, at least between the 20s. Then we kind of clamped down. But, certainly enough to give guys things to work on, give the coaches enough reason to yell at the guys. No major injuries, which is another knock on wood, good moment. And just stuff to build on, moving into Toledo. And again, I think Toledo's going to present another challenge. They're not a bad football team. It's not going to be a scrimmage. It's going to be a good solid game, just like this one was. And I think it'll be an important next step for the Buckeyes heading into Big Ten play.
I totally agree. And there was the first at Denzel's really poor penalties. We're beat there. Quarterback misses the throw. Like I said, Denzel is. There's always a guy that gets the ire of the fan base in the message board world, and Denzel seemed like he was that guy. And again, he'll bounce back, I'm sure. But it's nice to see J.K. get in there because that's like the one benefit to Jim Knowles having this hook. When if kids aren't performing or they do something dumb, he hooks them, and he put J.K. right in there, and it's always interesting to see these guys get into the game when it's still a game. It's not 48-0, or here's a little RPO action. Again, another one for Denzel. I mean, his grade sheet is going to look pretty rough. You get two penalties. Generally, a penalty on your grade sheet, you get a misassignment, you get a poor technique, and you get an MA. So that's like devastating to your grade. So it's going to be real interesting to see Doubt he grades champion with those 2 penalties and getting pulled. But it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But yeah, so I'm going to wrap this thing up. We're going to do a long cut. Appreciate you, Nevada. I'm going to wrap this. And thank you guys. So if you enjoyed that film session, I am going to do a full game breakdown, a long cut. Might even do it live if you guys are interested in it. Get your feedback, get your thoughts. Would love to hear from you guys. Appreciate you guys as always. You guys are the best. BuckeyeScoop.com. The message boards are on fire. We're really cooking right now. We'd love to hear from you guys. So let me know. We're grinding on the site. We had a huge game thread today. A lot of fun. If you are one of the biggest Ohio State fans in the world, you need to join BuckeyeScoop.com. You should give it a try. You'll probably love it. You'll probably become addicted to it. Like everybody always says, they can't wait to check the scoop. As soon as they wake up, it's the last thing they look up before they go to bed is what's going on in the scoop, what's going on in the world of Ohio State football. It's also a tremendous gift. I know that we have Christmas coming up in a few months. But I appreciate you guys as always. Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. I'll see you guys on BuckeyeScoop.com's Ask the Insider message board. I'm heading there now. Answer any questions you have about the game. But I appreciate you guys as always. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Go Bucks.